Hey there, my name is Stephen Pollitt, and I am the creator of Source Energy Medicine, which is kind of a funny way to introduce this video, and you'll see why I say that in just a little bit. I think it's pretty cool to realize that if you're watching this, you are likely similar to me in that you too are on an epic journey, on a quest seeking answers, looking for ways to heal naturally and holistically, in ways that make sense both intellectually as well as intuitively. And like me, your epic journey likely started years ago. In my live Source Energy Medicine Level 1 workshop, in the very beginning, I ask the participants in the audience to raise their hand if they've been on their healing journey for more than a year. So if you're willing to humor me and play along, please go ahead and raise your hand if you've been on your healing journey for more than 1 year. And keep it up if you've been on your healing journey for more than 3. More than 5 years, more than 10 years, more than 15 years, please keep your hand up. And I usually stop at around 25 years, and I take a pause and I look around, and what I often see is a large percentage of the group still has their hands up. So if you still have your hand up, please go ahead and lower it. And Lordy, am I so happy that you are here watching this, and thank you for playing along with me. And in part, this is why I'm so passionate about Source Energy Medicine. I know that Source Energy Medicine is truly unlimited in terms of potential and possibility. I know that Source Energy Medicine is an answer for you. It certainly has been for me, and in so many ways, the answer to my prayers. I have to tell you, it's hard to not feel sad when I receive an email from someone who heard about Source Energy Medicine years ago or purchased a copy of my book, Heal Thyself, and for whatever reason, they didn't take action. The sadness is because they're either in the same place they were, or what I see in most cases is that they're significantly worse and they have huge regret for not starting sooner. And that's one of the main reasons why I created the Source Energy Medicine Quick Start Guide, and why I'm here today and creating these videos, which I really see as an extension to the Quick Start Guide. Everything in the Quick Start Guide is designed to support you to figure all this out, to simplify the process, to help you to get started, and hopefully inspire you to take action and to stick with it. In this first video, I want to share one of the most, if not the most, frequently asked questions that I am asked, and this asking has been going on since 2005. And the question is, how did you create Source Energy Medicine? Or another way of asking it is, how did Source Energy Medicine come about? Or what led to all of this? And they're all essentially the same question. The shortest answer I could possibly provide is it basically stemmed from my own lack of results trying to heal, and that was fueled by utter frustration that I experienced from several years and literally tens of thousands of dollars investing in trying. In a nutshell, I couldn't find it, so I created it. And then I realized, how could I not share my experience with others, with you? And if you stick with me, I'll share everything that I learned and all of the tools that I created, which will save you, hopefully, tens of thousands of dollars and years of searching, and likely, like me, lots of frustration and disappointment along the way. And most importantly, I'll offer you a way to be able to heal yourself, regardless of the challenges that you are experiencing. And I have already given you everything that you'll need. It's all in the Quick Start Guide. First and foremost, I want you to know straight off the bat that I never had a game plan or aspiration or a strong desire to create a self-healing methodology. The reality is, in fact, it was almost quite the opposite, in that when I fully realized what we now know as Source Energy Medicine was unfolding, I had huge resistance to continuing. And to say I was reluctant is a horrible, gross understatement. I had 1,000 really great, completely rational, logical reasons why not to do it. And I'll come back to all this in a few moments. But for now, I want to pick up the story a bit further back to when my parents very tragically died 2 days apart from unrelated causes, meaning they weren't in a fatal car accident or a plane crash or anything like that. They both died at what I would characterize or consider to be very young. My mother was 66 and my father was 74, although from the time that he was 66, uh, his physical form basically slowly deteriorated. Now, this was in the early 90s, and to put things into perspective, I was about 35 pounds, probably a little bit more, overweight, which I'm small, so for my size and my frame, that was a lot. I had horrible sleep. My digestion was absolutely awful, and I seemed to be sick all the time. I got every cold or every flu, and my experience of the cold and flu seemed to be much, much worse than everyone else. And the cold and flu and the digestive challenges, those were part of my entire life from, earliest memories as a child. When I was in my late 20s, I started experiencing osteoarthritis, which most of the members of my mother's family experienced, and most professionals would say that this was genetically acquired. And not too long, a few years after that, I started to experience rheumatoid arthritis, which most professionals would characterize as an autoimmune disease and acquired. So I am the youngest of 4 children, and all my siblings also had numerous health challenges, and I could very clearly see my future, and honestly, I was pretty freaked out. I didn't have words for it then, but basically right there, in this odd state of intense grief and intense anger and absolute utter frustration, sitting at my parents' memorial service, I made a declaration to myself. I simply said, "Not me. That was not going to be me." Now, I had no game plan, no ideas, no one to model, not that I even knew what modeling was at the time, and no obvious direction in which to even take the first step. So I didn't then have the words that I do now, but I can clearly see retrospectively that I made a firm resolution to myself that I was not going to follow into the predeterministic vision that my genes held in store for me. And my path of self-discovery and healing literally began in that emotional and physical mess. My first steps ultimately led me to formally study nutrition, mostly because all of the experts in those days on Oprah, they couldn't seem to agree what we as humans should eat. And this was awesome in that it led to an unexpected career change, and I started a private nutrition practice, which a few years later actually led to opening an integrative wellness center in Midtown Manhattan, mostly as ways of being able to support clients beyond what was possible to do with food and exercise and lifestyle and herbs and supplements and essential oils. I was basically seeking ways to be able to fill the gaps that I found in most approaches to healing. That then led to studying vibrational medicines, which led me to exploring the Healers Who Share method, which was founded by David Allen Slater in, I believe, 1999. And by the time I discovered them, they were the world's largest manufacturer of vibrational medicines. David began mentoring me in around 97. The Healers Who Share home office was in Colorado, and they had production and distribution centers in Canada, Norway, Germany, and Australia. David taught me how to do intuitive research, which is to say, how to dowse my way with a pendulum through medical books, textbooks, pathology books, and doing some research online. I basically moved to Colorado in 2001 to work more closely with David. He taught me how to create formulas to make a Healers Who Share vibrational medicines. And in the approximately 3 years that I worked at Healers Who Share, I developed well over 500 remedies. And about 99% of them that I developed, David approved and were added to his product line. I eventually began seeing aspects that were less than ideal, missing pieces, areas that could be greatly improved. Some of the things that I noticed that were important to me was the method was super complicated. It was a financial burden to most and cost prohibitive to many that simply could not afford it. And while he had a very high success rate, he also had a high rate of recurrence, which is to say, many clients would often receive positive experiences. They'd get positive test results from their physicians, apparently healing whatever their challenge was, only to have the same or similar issue return within usually about 6 to 12 months. I had this kooky notion that healing could be simple, that positive results should be long-term, and we should be able to do all of this in a business model that would make it cost-effective for everyone. So rather than complain or simply settle for this is as good as it gets, I chose to explore to see if I could discover ways to be able to improve upon the system. With a lot of passion and enthusiasm, I dove in. I worked nights and weekends on my own time. Literally every available moment I was in my study, which was basically a pretty cool attic. And this went on for about a year. But about a year later, my research led to some inspiring breakthroughs and ways to make the methodology much easier for everyone, more effective with long-term positive results, far more promising, and everything for about 1/10 of the current cost. So these breakthroughs were monumental discoveries. And I think you'll be interested to know that I didn't want public recognition for my contributions, and in fact, I really liked being the guy behind the scenes, and while I did all of this research on my own time, I made it very, very clear that I was not seeking financial compensation or financial reward in any way for any of this. And for the first time in all these years, David chose to not embrace my research, which honestly was like getting kicked in the gut. Here I was presenting the best work that I'd ever done, and I guess from me standing here now making this video, I imagine it's pretty clear to you how all of that turned out. You guessed it, he did not embrace my work, and I must admit to you, in all honesty, I was devastated, and morally I couldn't stay. And that was tough. I loved my role, I loved being the guy doing the research behind the scenes, and David was the guy on stages around the world presenting Healers Who Share workshops. Valerie and I just bought a home, and I definitely did not see this coming. And I essentially did the only thing that I could think of. I continued my research, and I began pretty quickly to try and figure out a plan of what the heck to do next. Since my research is intuitive, a lot of it was like having what Neil Donald Walsh describes in his best-selling books, Conversations with God, and the whole series. And when I would ask literally what to do, I kept hearing to do something with what I've already given you, and more will be revealed. And within short order, it was made pretty clear that what I was given was the foundation for a new healing methodology, one that met all of my goals and overcame every objection that I ever had, one that filled in every missing piece that I'd ever found in every methodology that I'd ever studied. And one that could be pretty simple, especially comparatively speaking. I could see that it was universally applicable, meaning it held potential and possibility to help anyone regardless of the nature or the state of the challenge, whether it was acute or chronic, whether it was inherited or acquired, whether it was in early stages or progressed stages. And interestingly enough, effective with challenges far beyond just physical ones. And it was pretty clear that this methodology could be developed in a way that it could be affordable to everyone, and in a way that was completely safe, which was very important for me, even if a small child got a hold of it. This part's still crazy to think about, but when I sat quietly, honestly, my biggest fear, which led to the reluctance, was that I would end up doing exactly the same behaviors that I judged so harshly in many of my mentors. Not all of them, thank God, but many of my mentors over the years. And how ironic is that? Source had a pretty good laugh at my expense And when he stopped laughing, he pretty clearly showed me that in all sincerity, I couldn't accept credit for any of my research, that it was he fueling it and providing all of the answers, and hence the name Source Energy Medicine and not Stephen Energy Medicine. So my role became clear that I would be a steward and a spokesperson for this new methodology, and that it was of Source. And through all that was being revealed, it was clear to me that this methodology held the potential to help to transform every sentient being on this planet, everyone interested in transformation, of course. So I'm sure you agree, how could I not go along, right? I want to fast forward to the 2004 part of this story. And, you know, honestly, there were more than a few obstacles. We used most of our savings to buy our house. I didn't see this coming. I had no game plan in place, no one to fund my research. And here too, you could probably conclude I took the plunge, and with Valerie's massive support and support in so many ways, which, you know, by the way, if you want to thank anyone for Source Energy Medicine, please thank her. Without her, you wouldn't be watching this video and you wouldn't be receiving the truly unlimited blessings of Source Energy Medicine. Fast forward again to the current day part of the story, and this is where you come in also. You know, I feel so grateful to tell you since 2005, I have had no signs or symptoms of any of the challenges that I used to experience. I haven't even had a cold or a flu since 2005. I feel better and in every way than I did even when I was in my 20s. I really do not like to think about what my life would look like and feel like without Source Energy Medicine. I certainly know what my genes had in store for me. And my brother, who is only 5 years older than me, he died a couple of years ago related to issues that most professionals would say run in our family. You know, this is tough for me, and yet I'm not making him wrong, and yet it's still very sad and brings about feelings of, for me, immense gratitude for the choices that I made, and so grateful for the countless blessings and ways that Source Energy Medicine truly has blessed my life. And the blessings continue. They continue on a daily basis. My life truly is there, but by the grace of God go I. I feel like one of the most fortunate men on this planet, and if you're game, I'll share with you how you too can maximize the gifts that lie within Source Energy Medicine, how to put them to practical use to transform any challenge or area of lack you're currently experiencing, and enable you to be able to step into your true potential in every regard and in every area of life. I cannot and I should not make guarantees or predictions of your personal results. This is why my book is titled Heal Thyself and not me or Source Energy Medicine Heal You. Healing is a very personal journey. It's a very personal process, and all healing ultimately is self-healing. I want you to know that I am here to support you every way that I can along your journey with Source Energy Medicine. Sound intriguing? I certainly hope so. So I invite you to please leave a comment in the box below. I would love to learn how you found out about Source Energy Medicine, and please share one or more challenges that you want to work on, that you want to explore with Source Energy Medicine. I want you to know that I read every comment, so please leave one. And this is a public forum, so please have that awareness when sharing. And keep an eye out for the next video, which is going to be amazing, by the way. In the next segment, I'll explain the root cause of all dis-ease, all imbalance, or even what is causing any area of lack imaginable that you might be currently experiencing, as well as why searching for the cure to a specific dis-ease is a futile pursuit.